Hello, YouTube. Just another video of my reflections on the current state of the U.S. Its descent further into barbaric retrograde, fascistic brutality, under the Trump-Musk regime. Now it seems to be more like the Trump-Bukele regime. Nayib Bukele being the president of El Salvador, who's turned that country into a sort of giant prison. I'm not sure if now El Salvador passes the United States as far as highest number of per capita prisoners. But well, this is the major issue at hand, is this illegal mass deportation, rounding up of several hundred Venezuelan migrants to the U.S. Some of them here legally, some undocumented, none of whom have any criminal records. I believe it's 75% have no criminal record at all, possibly 90%, and those who do are non-violent crimes. And they're all just round up without due process, without any evidence, without the right to an attorney, to a hearing, anything, just sent to a country, El Salvador, which they are not even from, accused of being in this gang, Train de Aragua, which barely exists in the United States. And now they're languishing in this gulag with horrific conditions. If you've seen the pictures, it's just this giant packed in like sardines. It's even more, it makes like the Squid Games look humane and decent. They literally took a gay hairdresser, makeup artist who was fleeing Venezuela due to persecution, both over his sexual orientation and for criticism of the government of Venezuela. And he's now languishing in this mega prison full of torture, beatings, and you just sleep on a concrete, and apparently there's even aerial footage of piles of dead bodies outside this prison. I just can't stop thinking about this. It's just like weighing on my mind. This other man from Maryland who was actually protected against deportation, and they sent him to El Salvador, where the Supreme Court just ruled 9-0 that the Trump administration must facilitate his release. And Trump is just saying, no, I'm not going to do it. I have absolute power here. The courts, the judicial system mean nothing to me. This is in that press conference with Bukele, and he's talking about how everyone there was a terrorist. Of course, if you know what's going on in El Salvador, he's basically completely eliminated due process. The police are given a quota to arrest 1,000 people every day or something of that number. They just round up anyone. They are not given, there is no right to a trial. They cannot, they're just thrown in prison because they have tattoos. And once they stopped, they eventually ran out of men with tattoos. It's just round up men without tattoos, then women, then say you're in collaboration with the gangs, and so Trump and Rubio apparently look on this with glee and amazement. We can just accuse people of being terrorists and then lock them in a dungeon and throw away the key? Amazing. Fantastic. Seriously fucked up. Of course, then you have ICE going around or rounding up students who are here, have legal permanent residence. Anyone who took part in protest against the war in Palestine, calling them pro-Hamas, anti-Semite. Basically shredding the First Amendment freedom of speech. I mean, they even said this does not have to do with Mahmoud Khalil's arrest is not because of any crime. So we're just going to take him, disappear him. His wife didn't even know where he was. Ends up being in a ICE prison in Louisiana. And then you had the Turkish student at Tufts University also just grabbed off the street by plainclothes ICE agents. She was also taken to that same prison in Louisiana because I guess there's a judge there who will just like rubber stamp on deportation of anyone. Some corrupt MAGA judge. So, like, you had that professor, Jason Stanley, who is Jewish, who taught at Yale. I believe he's political science. He wrote a book called How Fascism Works. And he's left this country and gone to Canada. And he brought up in an interview that this isn't good for Jews. That using Jews, he said the Trump administration is using Jews as a cudgel for fascism. That is 100% correct. We are eliminating the rationale for eliminating people's freedom of speech, revoking visas, going over using AI to search out any thing for students, foreign students in American colleges and universities that is slightly critical of Israeli war crimes in the brutal bombing campaign and mass starvation blockade on Gaza, to search out anything, and then revoke their visas, have them deported. This is all being used for the protection of Jews. I mean, of course, not all Jews are for this. Not even the majority are. And these are all the people in the Trump administration are Christian Zionists. But, I mean, it's like you're making the anti-Semitic trope of the Jews control the government, the academia, that Israel has all this power over the U.S., whereas in reality it's the other way around, and Israel is a client state of the U.S. But you're making that view seem true, that the stereotype is becoming true, and this does not have good effects for Jews in America and around the world. I mean, it's like, you're free to criticize any government in the world, essentially. There were people protesting China back in 2019 when there was a crackdown in Hong Kong. And you can protest India's policies in Kashmir, you can protest the United States government, you can protest Iraq and Iran and North Korea and Ukraine, Russia, but not Israel. I mean, you do have one of Donald Trump's biggest donors, I think it was like 100 million, was Miriam Adelson, the widow of Sheldon Adelson, who's the big casino magnate. I mean, I think this, who is a dual Israeli citizen, and along with the quid pro quo of annexing the West Bank, was this sort of ratting out this McCarthyite sort of ratting out of students critical of Benjamin Netanyahu, who we keep allowing to come back here to lick this war criminal's butt. It's just not a good look, okay? But yeah. And then you have that press conference with Kelly. It's just a total lie fest. Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi all saying that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is part of MS-13. Pam Bondi is saying, the Attorney General, that the courts ruled that he is part of MS-13 and could be deported. I mean, this is just a bald-faced, brazen lie. The courts ruled that he was protected from deportation. He came here as a teenager, escaping MS-13. He has no criminal record. He was not part of MS-13. And then Stephen Miller saying the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 in their favor. What? I mean, pretty much all presidents have lied. That's a given. But it's like the sheer just extremity, the sheer insanity of the lies of Donald Trump and his goons is just, I mean, far surpasses even like Iraq having weapons of mass destruction, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. I mean, take this whole imperialism over Greenland. China's coming for Greenland. China's got a huge military bases in Greenland. No, we know demonstrably, objectively, this is not true. This is false. The U.S. has military bases in Greenland. China doesn't. There's all these Chinese soldiers in the Panama Canal. They're controlling the Panama Canal. No, they're not. I'm sick of the fucking lies. And you hear this with, and it's the same with the transgender issue. I mean, they say like they're letting they're persecuting biological women, not letting them play sports. Just with this fencing thing, the girl refused to play against a trans opponent with fencing. Okay, there's arguments for physical advantages of trans women if we're talking about muscle mass, bone density, and so forth, in highly more rigorous physical competitive sports like boxing, swimming, running, track and field, I guess. But fencing is a co-ed sport. This woman who refused to play against the trans opponent has been in fencing matches against males and beaten them. Yet we're sitting here acting like she's this martyr for women's fairness and equality in sports because of fucking fencing. And the Audrey Hale thing was the shooter at the school in Tennessee. Immediately the media just went on, the right-wing media went on this blitzkrieg of saying that she was trans and this is because of testosterone and hormone therapy. Even at the time, it was quickly disproven that the shooter was trans, that she was on hormone replacement therapy. Have any retractions been made? Has any statements, corrections been made about this? No, there's probably still tons of people who think she shot up the Covenant School because she was trans, because of some effects of the testosterone, or because, I don't know, all trans people are evil and other bullshit by crazy right-wing Christians. Yeah. Oh yeah, charging people with terrorism for vandalizing Teslas. And only Teslas. Gets you 20 years in prison. I mean, as if we don't have enough people in prison. It's just like this. I don't know. Luigi Mangione is a terrorist. He shot a CEO. That makes you a extra murderer if the guy is a CEO. But if this Daniel Penny guy chokes a man on a subway with schizophrenia to death, yay, we celebrate him. Yay, we love killing. Now, for some reason, always have, I guess, as a species. This whole Luigi Mangione just show trial. Talk about guilty until proven innocent. You have him in all these, they have him, and his defense attorney, of course, brought this up in his first court appearance. They have him all chained up. There's like 20, 30 New York police officers. Mayor Eric Adams, who's, of course, completely corrupt, but getting pardoned by Trump. Like he's, I don't know, Superman or something. And now we gotta arrest anyone who says anything unkind about the health insurance companies. If their claims are denied and they say deny, defend, oppose, put them in prison, charge them with terrorism. Yeah, fuck this shit.